Okay. We can start as we have promised not to take class more than 1 hour. So we will try and start in time. Okay. Yesterday we have finished. Am I audible to you? Am I audible to you?
Your voice is breaking, sir.
Oh, my voice is breaking. Wait a minute. Correct the network connection. Okay. Is it okay now? Am I audible and clear?
Background noise, sir.
Background noise. Okay,
Background.
let me.
Yes, sir.
Now, is it okay? Now is
Yeah,
it
it
clear?
is.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
you
that
are clear,
background
sir.
noise. Okay. Huh? Yes.
You
So
are clear.
someone is outside. Someone outside doing some work. I cannot do for that. I have switch off my fan, so the noise will be less and less. Okay. Let me close the door also. Okay. Is it a piece now?
Yes, sir. It's better now.
Okay. So we have finished chapter 2 of Tolecosm. We were discussing about Tolecosm in the introduction and we have reached up to paragraph number 11. Now we will start today from paragraph number 12 on. It goes on till paragraph number 24 where the Tolecosm section on the Tolecosm is finished. Section on the Tolecosm consists of altogether 3 chapters we have discussed already, out of which we have completed 2 chapters. The 11 up to paragraph number 11, the chapter number 2 was completed. Now today we will read from paragraph number 12. Okay, please volunteer yourself to read.
A favorite idea of the ordinary school of medicine until recent, or that I could not say the most recent, times was that of morbific matters and acridities in diseases, ex- excessively subtle though they might be thought to be, which must be expelled from the blood vessels and lymphatics, through the excellent skin urinary apparatus or salivary glands, through the tracheal and bronchial glands in the form of expectoration from the stomach and bowels by vomiting and purging, in order that the body might be freed from the material cause that produced the disease, and a radical causal treatment be thus carried out.
Okay, these sort of treatment is not common nowadays. Can you give me some example where these sort of excretory methods, means there is something material and should be drawn out, should be drained out? Can you give me some example from common idea, means common practice? At least 2 examples you can easily give where people are trying to draining something from inside. At least 2 examples.
So vomiting in case of indigestion.
Okay, vomiting in that is not a common practice in modern school. I'm asking about modern school of medicine, common practice in with allopathic doctors of nowadays. What they will do? 2 examples I am giving. One is their cough expectorant. Okay, uh, take any of the cough syrup and you will see that 2 things are there. One is cough suppressant, which is suppressing our medulla oblongata's cough reflex, so there is no cough. Number 2 of these cough syrup is cough expectorant, which is acting as expectorant, means trying to drain out the collection of the lungs, so that they are thinking they can cure this cough. Clear? Acute cough and cold, they will prescribe a cough syrup. This is very common, along with any antibiotic. If they are not prescribing any antibiotic, any means those who are not qualified physicians also, they will give, or these are the medicines available over the counter, like cough syrups. And you will see the content of the cough syrup. You will find that there is a cough suppressant, which is suppressing the cough reflex, which is originating in medulla oblongata, and other is this cough expectorant, which is trying to drain out the lungs of its collection. They are thinking that there is some collection in the lung, there is sound, noisy sound in the lung, and this is because the collection, some collection in the lung which should be drained out, so they are giving expectorant. Other example from the common practice is edema. Whenever you will go to a allopathic doctor with edema, all of them, without any exception, they will prescribe a diuretic. Okay, along with other tests, of course, they will not say that this edema is the disease itself nowadays. Okay, previously they used to say that this edema is the material which should be drained out. Usually a common sense from the material notion of disease in their mind. Okay, but now they won't say this ascites, this collection of the fluid in the peritoneal cavity, is a disease but a symptom of disease. But still they will prescribe a diuretic for them. Okay, edema in the leg, they will prescribe a diuretic. Clear? Trying for diuretic, what is the work of this diuretic? Producing excessive urination. And you will see this urinary apparatus, salivary gland, there were the things which were producing diphoretics, which were being used before, called diaphoretic. Diaphoretic means which is causing excessive sweat and excessive salivation. There is a medicine, there was medicines which were causing excessive sweat. By these routes, they were trying to drain the material object. So nowadays only two things you can give example of. One is expectorant, still being used in modern medicine, cough syrup and expectorant, although the sensible doctors are against prescribing those cough syrups. Okay, like Benadryl and all these are nothing but trying to suppress the cough and trying to expectorate the material which they are thinking of, which is causing the cough, and this is not true. Edema. In edema, they will prescribe diuretic along with other investigation. They will give diuretic, okay, to drain out the edema. They don't know that, they know, but they don't think that this edema will be collected again if the basic cause of disease cannot be corrected. Okay, so these were the two examples I have given. Next, paragraph number 13.
By cutting holes in the diseased body, which were converted into chronic ulcers kept up for years by the introduction of foreign substances, issues, cetons, this out to draw off the materia peccans from the always only dynamically diseased body. Just as one lets a dirty fluid run out of a barrel through the tap hole. By means also of perpetual blisters and the application of mesarium, they thought to draw away the bad humors and to cleanse the diseased body from all morbific matters. But they've only weakened it, so as generally to render it incurable by all these senseless, unnatural processes.
Okay, these are not used nowadays. Making a hole in the cranial cavity is not a practice nowadays, so it is least important for us. These trying to uh, means trying to issues and cetones. What is this? These are the old medical practices where people used to create an artificial ulcer on the surface of the body so that it can cure the internal disease, thinking that from this root, from these ulcers which they are keeping up, they will try and cure, try and drain the internal matter. Okay, you will get an example of this sort of treatment in uh, in aphorism number 39. aphorism number 39. Uh, you will get 1, 2, 5, 7, 8, 9 from below 9 line. From below. Aphorism number 39. From below ninth line. Got it?
Epilepsy.
Epilepsy. Yes, yes, yes. That line only.
Epilepsy suppressed for many years by means of issues, invariably recurred and in an aggravated form, when they were allowed to heal up, as Becklin and others testify, but
So
purgatives for
there
each
was
and issues for
okay,
epilepsy.
okay, okay, okay. Issues and cetones are nothing but trying to, I mean, with a thread, trying to maintain an artificial wound, okay, on the body surface, so that the internal uh, disease can be drained out. Thinking of that, and you got an example of that.
Sir,
So this is not used nowadays, so we won't discuss it in detail. Number 14.
I admit that it was more convenient for the weakness of humanity to assume that, in the diseases they were called on to cure, there existed some morbific material of which the mind might form a conception, more particularly as the patients readily lent themselves to such a notion, because in that case the practitioner had nothing further to care about than to procure a good supply of remedies for purifying the blood and humors, exciting diuresis and diaphoresis, promoting expectoration and scoring out the stomach and bowels. Hence, in all the works on materia medica, from Dioscorides down to the latest books on this subject, there is almost nothing said about the special peculiar action of individual medicines. But besides on account of their supposed utility in various nosological names of diseases, it is merely stated whether they are diuretic, diaphoretic, expectorant, or emmenagogue, and more particularly whether they produce
This is medicines increases, which increases the menstrual flow. Okay.
yes.
Emmenagogue are the medicines which increases the menstrual flow.
Okay, sir. And more particularly whether they produce evacuation of the stomach and bowels upwards or downwards, because all the aspirations and efforts of the practitioner have ever been chiefly directed to cause the expulsion of a material morbific matter and of sundry fictitious accredities which it was imagined were the cause of the disease.
Okay. So, first thing in this paragraph discussed that it was due to weakness of humanity. Okay. Means mind can form only, we sometimes told no, tell that the God is formless. Okay, he has no place, he is omnipotent. Still we try to focus our attention on something. Okay, this is God for me, this is Ishwar for me, but we know inside that God is formless, Ishwar is formless. Okay, he is everywhere present, but to means keep our attention to him, we are going to him by these material objects. We are trying to see, you will see people saying that no, I know that God is only formless, he has no form and nothing, he cannot be drawn or cannot be sculptured, but this is, I am worshipping this thing because I am trying to concentrate my ideas in this. This is because our mind cannot form the idea what we cannot see. Okay, so that is the thing Hahnemann is discussing here, that weakness of humanity. It is for the weakness of humanity that cannot see beyond any material thing. They cannot think that there can be a dynamic thing which is beyond this. Okay, all these they are trying to expulse, trying to means trying to excrete, is nothing but the result of disease, not the uh, disease itself. Okay, because this is weakness of humanity. Next, one to third line of this paragraph: mind might form a conception. Okay, mind might form a conception. Okay, this is disease, and this is what it looks like. Okay, thinking that this is disease and this is what it looks like, and this is what it looks like is nothing but the materia pickens. They are thinking the disease, but we know that this is not disease but the disease product. Okay, there is something dynamic behind this. Okay, and from all Hahnemann is mentioning the name of Dioscorides. Who was Dioscorides? Dioscorides was a physician years ago, probably 500 or 1000 years ago, and he wrote Materia Medica. We are getting references of Dioscorides in Allen's keynote. We have shown that in previous class about Ilium cepa. Ilium cepa. Do you remember that? Efficacious in foot sore,
Yes, sir.
shoe bite.
So
Okay,
bites.
and you will get Shubite, very good. You will get plenty of examples of this Dioscorides in ML Tyler also. Okay, ML Tyler have given plenty of examples from Dioscorides. One of the example is in Artica urens, where Dioscorides have previously told that this Artica urens is efficacious in renal diseases. Okay, and now we know that this is helpful in Artica urens, helpful in renal diseases. Okay, so Dioscorides was a very good physician of his time, but he also classified medicines in nosological forms. That this disease, this medicine is producing urine. This medicine is for expectoration. This medicine for diaphoretic, like that. Okay, so this was the you, once you have a principle, you will act on all your action will be according to that principle. So Tolecosm was a principle of old school, and all their action, whatever they were taking in order to cure the disease, were revolving around this Tolecosm. Remove that cause, remove the cause, but without finding any real cause. Okay, next.
These were, however, all idle dreams, unfounded assumptions, and hypotheses, cunningly devised for the convenience of therapeutics, as it was expected the easiest way of performing a cure would be to remove the material morbific matters. See modo essent.
C modo essent means if only they were. Means this is a muhavra of that time, Latin. We have discussed it in our first class that these sort of thing, this C modo essent, this will be asked by your organon examination on your viva table. Tell me the meaning of C modo essent. It is of no practical use of nowadays. Okay, these are the muhavra of that time's audience. Okay, not for us. We are the meaning of this and the essence of this have been lost somewhere. Even if you can translate it, you cannot get the essence of what author was trying to tell. Okay, by this muhavra, by this kahavat of his time. If only they were not. Okay, they are not material, or material objects are materia pickens are not the disease. Okay, next, write it down. C modo essent, it is an important question in your MCQ also, in your organon exam also. Okay, if only they were, you can write it meaning here only, if only they were. Okay, I have shared a note on some non-English terminology in Organon of Medicine. I hope all of you are having that handout. C modo essent, if only they were. Next.
But the essential nature of diseases and their cure will not adapt themselves to such fantasies, nor to the convenience of medical men. To humor such stupid baseless hypotheses, diseases will not cease to be spiritual, dynamic rearrangements of our spirit-like vital principles in sensations and functions, that is to say, immaterial rearrangements of our state of health.
Okay, this is the definition of disease. Diseases are dynamic, derangement of our spirit like vital force in sensations and functions, that is to say immaterial derangement of our state of health. Whenever you will encounter an italic, that is important. Encounter a phrase or sentence in italic, that is important. Okay, so this is the definition of disease. Whenever you are asked about the definition of disease, this is the answer. Okay, next.
The causes of our maladies cannot be material, since the least foreign material substance, however mild it may appear to us, if introduced into our blood vessels, is promptly ejected by the vital force, as though it were of poison. Or when this does not happen, death ensues. If even the minutest splinter penetrates a sensitive part of our organism, the vital principle everywhere present in our body never rests up until it is removed by pain, fever, separation, or gangrene. And can it be supposed that in a case of cutaneous disease of 20 years standing, for instance, this indefatigably active vital principle will quietly endure the presence of such an injurious foreign material exanthematous substance such as a herpetic, scrofulous, gouty, acridity, etc. in the fluids of the body? Did any nosologist ever see with corporeal eyes such a morbific matter to warrant him in speaking so confidently about it and in founding a system of medical treatment upon it? Has anyone ever succeeded in displaying to view the matter of gout or the poison of scrofula?
Okay, now underline uh, this everywhere present in our body. The vital force, underline everywhere present in our body. Whenever you are asked about the location of vital force, this is the answer. It is everywhere present in our body. Okay. Now this is the method of Hahnemann, that whenever he discusses about any topic, he will try to give all the materials possible regarding its definition. Okay, regarding examples. Now in first part, all the examples have been given. Tolecosm, what is this and what is happening and what are the examples. Now he is going to defute this ideology. He is going to means ridicule this and nullify this ideology. So he started to give examples why I am saying that there is no material cause of the disease. So from this paragraph onward, he has started to nullify that tolecosm, because the material object, he is saying that if you are thinking that the disease is something material, okay, so this should be uh, this should be the case, that if it is material and you are thinking it is separate from the body, if it is material and disease is separate from the body, so our vital force should revolt against this, as it revolt against those splinters coming from outside. What is happening whenever there is a splinter inside our skin? What will happen? The disease will start reacting, try to form inflammation, try to catch the growth and try to form means nosological structure, pathological structure around that foreign body. Body knows that what is foreign and what is in it, what is inside and what is of outside. The cutaneous eruption in the body, if you are seeing, this is the disease and material disease which should be removed. The body should act against it, but no, it is enduring it for last 12 and 15 years. Why it is doing so? Because the body knows it is nothing but the part of it. Okay, an example have been given in the footnote about the girl in Glasgow. It was a question somewhere in MCQ previous years, in MCQ of PG examination, the girl in Glasgow's example. It is a famous example in the history of medicine, that one surgeon tried to cure a girl for its rabies dog bite. Okay, try to prevent the rabies from dog bite by amputating the limbs, but he cannot save that girl of rabies. So it is showing that if the disease was material, after biting, he immediately have amputated the limbs, but still the girl suffered from rabies. It is of olden days before the invention of the vaccine for rabies. Okay, and again one example has been given about the means air bubble have been injected in the blood vessels and it is causing death. Okay, now again nowadays also if you are injecting air bubble more than 50 ml, it will cause ensure death. Okay, due to pulmonary embolism, due to embolism. Okay, next.
Even when the application of a material substance to the skin or to a wound has propagated diseases by infection, who can prove what is so often maintained in works on pathology that some material portion of this substance has penetrated into our fluids or been absorbed? The most careful and prompt washing of the genitals does not protect the system from infection with the venereal chancrous disease. The slightest breath of air emanating from the body of a person affected with smallpox will suffice to produce this horrible disease in a healthy child.
Okay, here you can the most careful uh, prompt washing of genitals. Okay, here you can ask that the use of condoms. Okay, physical barrier to do these diseases have prevented so much gonorrheal and syphilitic infections, but the use of condom is preventing. But again, it is preventing only the genital infection. Okay, it cannot prevent the dynamic infection of the gonorrhea, of the miasm psychosis, of the miasm syphilis. Okay, next.
What ponderable quantity of material substance could have been absorbed into the fluids in order to develop, in the first of these instances, a tedious dyscrasia, syphilis, which when uncured is only extinguished with the remotest period of life, with death. In the last, a disease, smallpox, accompanied by almost general separation and often rapidly fatal. In this and all similar cases, is it possible to entertain the idea of a material morbific matter being introduced in the blood? A letter written in the sick room at a great distance has often communicated the same contagious disease to the person who read it. In this instance, can the notion of material morbific matter having penetrated into the fruits be admitted? But what need is there of all such proofs? How often has it happened that an irritating word has brought on a dangerous bilious fever? A superstitious prediction of death has caused the fatal catastrophe at the very time announced. The abrupt communication of sad or excessively joyful news has occasioned sudden death. In these cases, where is the material morphic principle that entered in substance into the body, there to produce and keep up the disease, and without the material expulsion and rejection of which a radical cure were possible? Impossible.
Okay, can you give okay, can you give me some example what we have read here? Can you give me some example from the organon text where these things, the like these things have been discussed in the aphorism of the organon?
Aphorism 17, sir.
So it's okay. 17
No,
footnote.
18, 8
Okay.
footnote.
Aphorism number 7. These are
17
the things.
footnote.
Again, aphorism number 11. Aphorism number 11. Sixth edition footnote. Dynamic influences. A long footnote have been added here in sixth edition. Aphorism number 11. Dynamic influences. Okay. Read the last paragraph. You will get same notion. Read the last paragraph of this footnote. Aphorism number 11.
Is it then so utterly impossible? This, sir.
Yes.
Is it is it then so utterly impossible for our age celebrated for its wealth in clear thinkers to think of dynamic energy as something non-corporeal, since we see daily phenomena which cannot be explained in any other manner? If one looks upon something nauseous and becomes inclined to vomit, did a material emetic come into his stomach which compels him to this anti-peristaltic movement? Was it not solely the dynamic effect of the nauseating aspect upon his imagination? And if one raises his arm, does it occur through a material visible instrument, a lever? Is it not solely the conceptual dynamic energy of his will which raises it?
Okay, so this is again an example given here in aphorism number 11, footnote. Read the footnote by your own, whole footnote. There are some examples of these dynamic influences where the material notion have been nullified. Okay, number 17, the moral remedies have been discussed in aphorism number 26, aphorism number 24, 226, sorry, aphorism number 226. Again, the moral remedies have been discussed, and there you can also get same idea of things. Okay, so next, paragraph number 20.
The champions of this clumsy doctrine of morbific matters ought to be ashamed that they have so inconsiderately overlooked and failed to appreciate the spiritual nature of life and the spiritual dynamic power of the exciting causes of diseases, and that they have thereby degraded themselves into mere scavenger doctors who, in their efforts to expel from the diseased body morbific matters that never existed, in place of curing, destroy life.
Okay, underline this: spiritual dynamic power of exciting causes of disease. Underline this: spiritual dynamic power of exciting causes of disease. Okay, not only that diseases are dynamic in nature, but the thing which are producing disease are also of dynamic nature, except those falling under surgical diseases. We have discussed that previously. Now open paragraph, aphorism number, I think it is 31. Okay, open aphorism number 31. Okay, you will get partly psychical, partly physical. Okay, partly psychical, partly physical. The inimical forces which are partly psychical and partly physical. Physical in the sense that their influence are dynamic. Okay, that getting wet in the rain is a physical inimical force. Okay, but this rain is by its virtue of dynamic influence on the body exciting the disease. Okay, so not only the disease is uh, dynamic in nature, the this causing spiritual dynamic power of exciting causes of disease. Underline this: spiritual dynamic power of exciting causes of disease. Next.
Are, are then the foul, often disgusting excretions which occur in diseases the actual matter that produces and keeps them up? Are they not rather always excretory products of the disease itself, that is, of the life which is only dynamically deranged and disordered?
Okay, this contains a short footnote. Read the footnote also.
Were this the case, the most inveterate coryza should be certainly and rapidly cured by merely blowing and wiping the nose carefully.
Okay, if in coryza you are thinking that this coryza is the disease, okay, but again and again you are wiping the nose, clearing the nose, and again it is coming up. This simple example is showing off that no, this is not the disease. This is the product of disease. Okay, this is the result of disease. Same wise, if you are removing the edema with diuretic, if you are removing the cough with expectorant. Okay, next.
With such false and materialistic views concerning the origin and essential nature of diseases, it was certainly not to be wondered at that in all ages the main endeavour of the most obscure, as well as of the most distinguished practitioners, and even of the inventors of the sublimest medical systems, was always only to separate and expel an imaginary morbific matter, and the indication most frequently laid down was to break up and put in motion this morbific matter to effect its expulsion by salivation, expectoration, diaphoresis, and diuresis, to purify the
Okay,
blood from
part one ends here. Part one ends here. Uh, which such fall materialistic views means the materialistic. I have told no that once you have a conception, once you have a principle in the back of your mind, all your action will be according to that principle. So if you are having, so it is very important for us as a homeopath to clear our idea of disease, so that all our action to cure that disease will be according to the idea we are having of disease. This is very important. Clear the idea of disease we are having in the mind. Okay, because they are having in their mind this idea of material notion of disease, so are there, they are acting according to that. If you are having the disease idea of like them, then you will also be telling that yes, this digitalis is diuretic. Okay, you will see some in textbook of modern mathematica, you will see classification of our medicine is in like that fashion. Okay, even in boric you will see some uh, this fashion, wonderful diuretic or wonderful expectorant. You will see these things creeping in. This is all because of the material notion of disease which we are carrying in our mind. Okay, so it is very important for us homeopath to clear our conception of disease. Okay, part 1 ends here. Next.
To purify the blood from acridities, impurities, morbific matters which never existed by means of the intelligence of sundry obedient decoctions of root and plants, to draw off mechanically the imaginary matter of disease by cetons, by issues, by portions of the skin kept open and discharging by means of perpetual blisters or mesarium bark, but chiefly to expel and purge away the materia peccans, or the injurious matters as they were termed, through the intestines by means of laxative and purgative medicines, which, in order to give them a more profound meaning and a more prepos- prepossessing appearance, were fondly denominated dissolvents and mild aperients. Also
Okay,
many
what is
arrangements.
mild aperients? What is mild aperients? Dissolvents and mild aperients, it's mild laxatives. Okay, laxatives producing stool, expulsing the rectum out of its content.
Also many arrangements for the expulsion of inimical morbific matters, which never could be and never were instrumental in the production and maintenance of the diseases of the human organism, animated as it is by a spiritual principle of diseases which never were anything else than spiritual dynamic derangements of the life altered in its sensation and functions.
Again, the definition of disease is spiritual. Underline this. This is the definition of disease. Spiritual dynamic derangements of life altered in its sensations and functions. Okay. Next.
Let it be granted now, what cannot be doubted, that no diseases, if they do not result from the introduction of perfectly indigestible or otherwise injurious substances into the stomach, or into other orifices or cavities of the body, or from foreign bodies penetrating the skin, etc., that no
This
disease,
is the
in a
line
word,
bracket. This is the line bracket you will encounter in Organon everywhere. This is the line bracket. The first bracket, second bracket, third bracket, and this is the line bracket. Okay, you will encounter this in Organon also, in text also. So try to read without this bracket. Now try to read without this line bracket.
that no disease, in a word, is
Now,
caused by any
full
material.
from the very beginning. Let it be granted.
Oh, let it be granted now, what cannot be doubted, that no diseases, if they do not result from the
No,
introduction
no,
of
this line
perfectly.
bracket. Avoid this line bracket. This is line bracket. You will see
uh,
a line here, if, then, and etc. After again a line. This is called line bracket. This is the thing in bracket. Try to read without this.
oh, okay, sir, got it. Let it be granted now, what cannot be doubted, that no disease, in a word, is caused by any material substance, but that everyone is only and always a peculiar, virtual, dynamic derangement of the health, now injudicious in that case, must not be a method of treatment directed towards the expulsion of that
Okay,
imaginary
after,
material system.
wait here. After that, in the bracket, Hahnemann have mentioned that we have encountered this previously also somewhere. Now, is means getting an exception, that those of surgical diseases are exceptions to that. Those are not dynamic diseases. They are caused by material objects and can be rectified in that manner. Okay, Hahnemann was very clear in its conception about disease. So he have we have given reference in the some previous lectures from Roberts, okay, and from aphorism number 13. That open aphorism number 13. Open aphorism number 13. You will see the same notion in the bracket here. Therefore, diseases in the bracket, aphorism number 13. Therefore, diseases in the bracket that does not come with the prominence of within the province of manual surgery. This is in the bracket. Except these diseases which are not actually surgical diseases. Okay, these are which are not actually the surgical diseases. Clear? So same thing you will get in aphorism number 186, where Hahnemann is separating those surgical, so-called surgical diseases. Okay, everywhere where Hahnemann is classifying disease, first thing he will do exception to dynamic diseases. These are surgical diseases. True surgical diseases are exception to dynamic diseases. In bracket, he will mention. In bracket, he will mention this thing. Okay. Okay, now in aphorism number this paragraph number 23, footnote number 1, you will see a long footnote regarding the worm infection. Okay, the worm infection. Now think of now don't think as a homeopath. Now just think of from the common man, that common people will come and say that इसके पेट में कीड़ा हो गया है, जो सब खाना खा जाता है, कोई ऐसा दवा दीजिए जो इसका कीड़ा मर जाए और ये थोड़ा तंदुरुस्त हो जाए, तो इसका खाना ये खाए, कीड़ा नहीं खाए. ओके, तो फॉर देम what is the disease? That particular worms in the intestine is the disease for them. Okay, now for the allopath, for the modern medicine, in the modern medicine, this is being also practiced in the modern medicine. Okay, and you will get that deworming of children is a routine now. They will call it deworming. There is the this means scheme, or what you tell, that there are programs going on of deworm your children. Okay, but for them these worms are disease. But for us, in this footnote we will read it today only, that these worms are living in such an environment, the environment of the body is such that these worms are flourishing there. Okay, once you corrected that environment of the intestine, you will get rid of that worm. Okay, now read the footnote one by one. There are so many paragraphs, important footnote. Number 1.
There is a semblance of there
Okay,
is a semblance of necessity There is a semblance of necessity in the expulsion by purgatives of worms in so-called vermicular diseases, but even this semblance is false. A few lumbrici may be found in some children. In many, there exist ascarides, but the presence of this is always dependent on a general tent of the constitution, the soric, joined to
okay,
any
underline this.
joint.
Underline soric. Okay.
Yes.
So we will wait here and discuss that. Hahnemann is telling, we will differ with Hahnemann here a bit. Okay, Hahnemann is telling that these worm infections are soric in nature. Clear? Most of them are soric in nature, but Roberts, from his experience, you will find, let me find it in Robert. I will show you. I hope you all got your Robert with you, so that When I am referring you, you will see that. Can anyone tell me where Robert have discussed this? That these worms are tubercular diathesis. Worms are tubercular diathesis. Worms are of tubercular diathesis. Hmm. In chapter, I think it is in chapter number 27. Okay, you will find here in this chapter, I'm not getting that line, that worms are of tubercular diathesis. Okay, and what is tubercular diathesis? Robert says that worms are of tubercular diathesis. And what is tubercular diathesis? Tubercular diathesis is a combination of sora and syphilis, according to most. Sora and syphilis, according to most of the stalwarts and most of the authors. But according to J.H. Allen, it can be sora and psychosis also. Okay, sora and syphilis, combination of sora and syphilis is tubercular diathesis. There is nothing called tubercular miasm. Okay, and this tubercular diathesis is due to combination of sora and syphilis, according to most of our stalwarts, most of the authority. But according to J.H. Allen, this can be sora and psychosis. Okay, if the sora and syphilis is more prominent in tubercular diathesis, so we use medicine like tuberculinum. What is the difference between tuberculinum and bacillinum? People say that tuberculinum and bacillinum are same. You will get in Boris Materia Medica. These are same, tuberculinum and bacillinum. There is no difference. But yes, in the practical experience, I have seen also, and many of my teachers and many of the stalwarts are of opinion that basic difference between bacillinum, drug bacillinum and drug tuberculinum is that tuberculinum is more syphilitic and bacillinum is more psychotic. Okay, so tubercular diathesis may be psychotic, maybe psychosis and sora, and maybe syphilis and sora. Robert is of opinion that worms are of tubercular nature. Okay, worms are of tubercular diathesis. I'm not getting that line. You will get, when I will get, I will tell you. Okay, it is definitely in chapter number 27 where Robert is discussing about tubercular diathesis. Okay, next one, next one, that according to the worm infestation, which kind of worm is infected and where it has been infected, like hydatidiform moles, hydatidiform cyst moles, no, not moles, sorry, hydatidiform cyst in the liver and in the chest, in the lungs. Have you heard about it? This hydatidiform cyst in liver and the lungs. These are definitely of psychotic nature. This cystosoma affection of red moles of the bladders, red worms of the bladders, affection of the bladder, cystosoma. I will share with you a picture. I have shared many a times in previous classes with other students also, that there is a worm infestation of bladder. Okay, cystosoma, infection of bladder, red worms in urine. I have had a case of a lady infested with these red worms of the bladder. So these worms are affecting bladders. Okay, and we know that pelvic organs are the site of infection of psychotic miasm. So this worm infection may be of psychotic nature. Okay, so this worm infection may be of soric nature, may be of tubercular nature, or may be of psychotic nature. Have you heard about this neurocysticercosis? Neurocysticercosis. Have you heard about that? Anyone? Have you heard about this disease? Neurocysticercosis. No. This is a cyst formed by the dead worm. The worm reach in the brain. Okay, and there the cyst is formed. This is called neurocysticercosis, tapeworms. Okay, so the affection is where? Is it? It is in the brain, and brain is the place of affection for syphilis. Until and unless there is no dominant syphilitic miasm, the worm cannot reach the brain. So this worm infection, cyst in the brain, neurocysticercosis in the brain is a sure sign of syphilis miasm, syphilitic miasm. So this worm infection, from where I am saying that pelvic organs are of psychotic affection, the brain is of syphilitic affection. Okay, from where I am saying this, this is written in Roberts. Okay, open the last chapter of Robert where he is discussing about disease classification. Summary. Chapter number, wait, chapter number 31. Open chapter number 31. Got it? Roberts, chapter number 31. Please open. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Anyone? Okay. Okay. Read it. Read it. Second paragraph.
When suppressed, the syphilitic stigma spends itself on the meninges of the brain and affects the larynx and throat in general, the eyes, the bones, and the periosteum.
Underline this. Meninges of the brain and cortex of the brain also. Larynx and throat, eyes, bones, and periosteum. These are the, and palates also. You can include the palates. These are the site of affection of syphilis. You can understand that which person is suffering with which dominant miasm. Okay, by the constitution, seeing the constitution. If a child of 2 years or 3 years coming with thick glasses, okay, thick coming with high refractive power, what does this indicate? The eyes have been affected, and what is the predominant miasm here? That should be syphilis. Okay, and if there is neurocysticercosis, then this is affection of the brain, and the predominant miasm will be here syphilis. Next, Sora. Read Sora also.
Sora spends its action very largely upon the nervous system and the nerve centers, producing functional disturbances which are aggravated by surface manifestations.
Nervous system and nervous center underline, and functional disturbance underline. Now read psychosis.
Psychosis attacks the internal organs, especially the pelvic and sexual organs. In this stigma, we find the worst forms of inflammation, infiltration of the tissues causing abscesses, hypertrophies, cystic degeneration. When thrown back into the system by suppression, this stigma causes dishonesty, moral degeneracy, and mania.
Another part of the story, but underline this: internal organs, pelvic and sexual organs. Okay, internal organs, pelvic and sexual organs. So the cystosoma affecting the bladder is of psychotic nature. Okay, so now 1 2 3 4 5 sixth line, first paragraph. Read from sixth line. No, read from fourth line. They all have their characteristics differences.
They all have their characteristic differences. The accentuation of Sora is function. The accentuation of syphilitic tent is ulcerative. The accentuation of psychosis is infiltration and deposits.
Underline: Sora is functional, syphilis is ulcerative or destructive. You can write here destructive, and psychosis is infiltration and deposits. infiltration, and deposits. Okay, these are the method of working of these miasms. Are the cycle effectors
Sir,
of these
your voice
miasms.
is not
If
clear. Clear, sir. Sir, voice is not clear.
okay, you underline Sora is functional, syphilitic is ulcerative, and psychosis is infiltration and deposit. Have you underlined that? Am I clear
Yes, sir.
now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So these are the method of action of these miasms, and these are the site of these miasms. By seeing which affected, you can decide which miasm is predominant. I have given example that a child of 2 years coming classes, you immediately think of that syphilis is predominant here, and you should anti-syphilitic medicine. That will narrow down your choice. Knowledge of miasm will narrow down your choice of medicines. Okay, a lady is giving history of recurrent UTI. UTI is affection of pelvic organs, of bladder, of ureter. So these are the pelvic organ affected. So predominant miasm there is psychosis. Okay, predominant miasm. You can see the person is telling that functional pain, nothing in echocardiography, nothing in ECG, functional pain in chest. You can easily think of SORA, that it is a functional nature, nothing can be found out here. So you can think that functional nature of disease indicating the SORA in predominant state, and you will select a antisoric remedy. Okay, so this one here we differ with Hahnemann, and telling that the worm infection is not only soric due to soric taint, but it is due to others also. Here, other miasm also, and we have given examples. Next, we have more 5 minutes time, I think, and we will try to finish this panel. Please read next.
um, Joined to an unhealthy mode of living. Let the latter be improved and the former cured homeopathically, which is most easily affected at this age, and none of the worms remain. And children cured in this manner are never troubled with them more. Whereas after mere purgatives, even when combined with senna seeds, they soon reappear in quantities. But the tapeworm,
Okay, next. Here Hahnemann is raising an important point about the mode of living. Okay, that is falling under accessory circumstances. Always taking care of accessory circumstances along with the totality of symptom. Always take care of accessory circumstances along with the totality of symptoms. Okay, we will discuss it later in the aphorisms when we will come to that. Next.
uh, but the tapeworm, methinks I hear some one exclaim, every effort should be made to expel that monster which was created for the torment of mankind. Yes, sometimes it is expelled, but at the cost of what after sufferings and with what danger to life. I should not like to have on my conscience the deaths of so many hundreds of human beings as have fallen sacrifices to the horribly violent purgatives directed against the tapeworm, or the many years
Next,
of
read next paragraph. Next paragraph. Next paragraph. Next to next paragraph.
the various species of tapeworm are only found along with the soric taint and always disappear
Underline
when
this.
that is
Underline
cured.
this. Previously, Hahnemann was telling all the vermicular diseases of soric nature. Okay, vermicular diseases means all the worms are of soric nature. Here, specifically, Hahnemann is telling about tapeworm. Okay, so tapeworm is of soric nature. But this tapeworm, when reaching to the brain and causing neurocysticercosis, it is in syphilitic stigma. Okay, underline tapeworm, underline soric taint.
Yes, sir. Should I continue, sir?
Yes, please.
And always disappear when that is cured. But even before the cure is accomplished, they leave the patient enjoying tolerable health the while, not exactly in the intestines, but in the residue of the food, the excrement of the bowels, as in their proper element, quite quietly and without causing the least disturbance, and find in the excrement what suffices for their nourishment. They then do not they then do not touch the walls of the intestine and are perfectly harmless. But if the patient happen to be affected with an acute disease of any kind, then the contents of the bowels become intolerable to the animal. It twists about, comes in contact with, and irritates the sensitive walls of the intestine, causing a peculiar kind of spasmodic colic, which increases materially the sufferings of the patient. So also the fetus in the womb becomes restless, turns about and quits only when the mother is ill. But when she is well, it swims quiet in its proper fluid without causing her any suffering. It
Next.
is worthy of it is worthy of remark that the morbid symptoms of the patient suffering from tapeworm are generally of such a kind that they are rapidly relieved homeopathically by the smallest dose of tincture of male fern root, so that the
This
ill
is
health of
Felix
the
mass.
patient.
This male fern root is Felix mass aspidum. Felix mass aspidium. This is again a specific medicine Hahnemann is giving. But you will see the language here, a kind that symptoms, morbid symptoms of the patient suffering from tapeworm are generally such a kind. Okay. So symptoms are fixed. Who is originating the symptom? Tapeworm is originating the symptoms. So the medicine is here also fixed. Okay, these symptoms will be cured. Tapeworm will not be expelled with this male fun root. Male fun root is Felix, Filix, Felix, mass, MAS, aspidium, ASPIDIUM. This Felix mass aspidium will treat the symptoms only, but not will expulge the tapeworm. For expulging the tapeworm, you need an antisoric remedy. So in the last paragraph, Hahnemann was discussing that these tapeworms are there in the intestine of soric children whose intestinal environment is like that only, and it is only when they are sick due to some other reason these tapeworm are there. When once the intestinal environment is corrected with antisoric medicines, they will go on and will choose another place. Read next.
So that the ill health of the patient, which causes this parasitic animal to be restless, is thereby for the time removed. The tapeworm then feels at ease and lives in quietly in the excrement of the bowels, without particularly distressing the patient or his intestines, until the antisoric treatment is so far advanced that the worm, after the eradication of the sora, finds the contents of the bowels no longer suitable for its support, and therefore spontaneously disappears forever from the now cured patient without the least purgative medicine.
Okay, that will go disappear by itself once you corrected the environment of the intestine, but it is after advanced treatment of and with antisoric medicines. Okay, now let me give you an examples. We have discussed it before also. Give me more 5 minutes. Okay, it is getting more. I want just 5 minutes more because we will meet only after these 2 days. Next 2 days are holidays. We will not meet tomorrow and day after tomorrow. We will meet after on Monday only. So let me finish this point. Give me 5 more minutes. The point I was to discuss that these worms sometime causing obstacle to cure if they are in such a huge. Hello, am I audible now? There
Yes,
was a
sir.
call, so we were disconnected. So this tapeworm sometime this is necessary to expel them when it is necessary to expel them, when out of their quantity, increased quantity, they are causing a obstacle to cure. Okay, like we have discussed that in ascites, when we should tap the fluid, when these ascites are causing a mechanical symptoms, when we have to tap out the fluid of pleural effusion, when uh, this uh, this is causing a mechanical symptoms. Again, these type of worms, when they are collected in so huge a quantity, sometime a vermifuge is necessary when they are causing a this means mechanical symptoms. Okay, let me share with you a case of a grown-up man was having nocturnal enuresis. Okay, nocturnal enuresis in a grown-up man of 32 years, and he was symptoms for last 2-3 years. Clear? And he was having all sort of treatments, and after that he came to me and I prescribe according to totality of symptoms. With different angles I was prescribing medicine without any help. All of a sudden one fine day he told me, doctor साहब मेरे पेट में कीड़ा है, कभी कभी वो काटता है, that I have some worm in my intestine and it is sometime troublesome. And you know that nocturnal enuresis is one of the symptom of a worm infestation, when they are causing irritation of the bladder during sleep. Basing on this fact, new fact, I prescribed that man Teucrium in repeated fractional doses. And that man was Teucrium maramvarum. We all know it is a specific, means causing one of the vermifuge we are having. Not in the true sense, I am telling that it is helpful in these worm infections. So basing on that, I prescribe him Teucrium in fractional doses, and the patient was cured of his nocturnal enuresis. So we got this mechanical symptoms due to mechanical infestation of these worms, mechanical symptoms by irritation of these worms, and Teucrium was prescribed and patient was cured. So until and unless these worms are causing a mechanical symptoms, producing a mechanical symptoms, you should not bother about that. You should not focus on that. If it is producing a mechanical symptoms, I believe that even if you giving, if the patient is taking any any vermifuge available over the counter allopathic medicine, he will cure of these symptoms for the time being. Okay, for the time being. Later on, that patient, because the worm is expelled, again that worm will come, because the soric taint is there, because the basic diathesis is there. Later on, that was cured permanently. Okay, so that is that was the case I wanted to discuss with you. Anyone having any question can ask me, so that we can give we can satisfy your query in next 5 minutes. Anyone having any question, you can ask me. Okay, I think there is no question. Thank you. And tomorrow is Eid, and day after tomorrow we are taking holiday. Okay, tomorrow and day after tomorrow are holiday. Eid Mubarak to all of you. We will meet on Monday. Okay.
Same
Thank
to
you for
you,
giving
sir.
me
Thank
your
you, sir.
attention. Thank you. Thank you for giving your attention.